Thank you. Chair recognizes Mr. Connolly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before I begin, if you'll hold the clock, I have a unanimous consent request to enter into the record a statement by AFGE and a statement from the Partnership for Public Service regarding this hearing.
Without objections, ordered.
I thank the chair. Congressman Davis, you certainly were a champion of Telework when you were chairman and ranking member of this committee. And I take your testimony because you said we need a balanced approach, that you're not debunking the value of telework. What you are distinguishing, though, is sort of inchoate remote working that isn't structured from, say, the structured telework program Ms. Cross just referenced that existed prior to the pandemic.
Well, and as you know, I'm on the board of some private companies that have gotten returned to work, but we find a balance in each case in terms of how you recruit people, how you maintain things. The point I would make in my testimony, though, is that the district and the federal workforce are way out of balance with what we see in other areas.
So,
but you need both.
Right, exactly. And but what the delta, though, is the pandemic, because we had a telework program in place prior to the pandemic, and we weren't hearing these kinds of reports of the business impact in the District of Columbia. And I just think that's an important distinction to be made.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Also, the advancements in Zoom, Microsoft Teams, you see their growth and the way they're utilized throughout industry, I think, has also been a game changer.
Right. I assume, Congressman Davis, that, I mean, you're looking at cumulative aggregate impacts on retail, on office leasing, and on the broader economy downtown Washington, D.C., and the impact universal remote working has had. I would assume that you would take exception to proposals to relocate mass numbers of federal employees to other parts of the country, given the fact that were that to happen, the very impacts you're decrying would be magnified in the retail sector, office leasing sector, and macroeconomy of the District of Columbia. Is that not correct?
Well, it's certainly true for my organization,
right?
And it would be true for me, who's grown up and lived his life here, and like you, have spent 29 years of his political life in the region as well.
Right. I just think that's an important point, that if we're going to be concerned about one, we've got to be concerned about the other, and both could have equal or even worse impacts on the macroeconomy we're concerned about. Governor O'Malley, walk us through. So the agreement that some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle seem to be decrying that you negotiated, that was a brand new agreement. We've never had an agreement with the AFGE or other federal employees before. You made it up out of whole cloth to pander to a union, and there was no precedent and there was no antecedent. And in fact, you did not inherit such an agreement that you extended, that agreement being negotiated previously in the Trump administration. Would that be a fair statement? How guilty are you?
Let me unpack all of that, or succinctly.
Do it quickly. I got 1 minute and 46 seconds.
Hey, thank you. No. The duration of this contract was actually something that preceded my time at Social Security. In fact, there are 3 bargaining units. 2 of them already had within their contract the telework balance.
And were they negotiated during the Trump administration?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Thank you. Keep going.
Oh, and then the third one, with AFGE, was actually something we had terms in their contract about when we had an opportunity. We had 2 opportunities every year. I want to say that part was negotiated before me. Every 6 months to review the telework balance and the on-site work balance in order to do our very best to improve customer service, even with the staffing reductions that Congress has imposed on this agency. And I did, in fact, change that on-site work at the headquarters components, at the regional headquarters, and also in the area components. And for myself and my staff in the commissioner's office, my immediate command staff, we were 5 days a week. And the commissioner's office overall was 4 days and 1 day of telework.
I thank you for clarifying the record, because I think there's a lot of disinformation about what in fact occurred at Social Security and its antecedent, which preceded the Biden administration. I yield back.